The bull riding gave me life. I don't even want to read the summary because I'm getting flashbacks. I'm like, whoa, put this away. Like, my body's gonna break out in hives from touching this. It wasn't anything like Fourth Wing. Hello y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be going over my wrap-ups for the month of April. Now to start off, I'm gonna give you guys my hard recommendations, and it's going to be first and foremost The Undertaking of Hart and Mercy. Now this is a sunshine and grumpy story. It is a standalone and an interconnected series, and there's one book not out yet that comes out July 8th. Now the first book that I read this April follows our main female character, Mercy, who is an undertaker, and then our main male character, Hart, who is a demigod marshal. So he is out kind of killing people and bringing the bodies back to her. There are a lot of intricate details that go along with why this happens and why their jobs work the way that they do. It's all pretty cool. The world building as a whole is very, very interesting. On top of that, the story itself is cozy with just the right amount of action. Oftentimes when reading a cozy book, I find that the pace moves a little bit too slow, but somehow the author was able to make this cozy book pretty medium paced. And I will say one thing I forgot to mention is that Mercy and Hart despise each other. And one of the key things in this book is that we're watching them fall in love without even knowing that they're falling in love with each other. But I won't say any more other than that. I hope you guys read it, because this is definitely a hard recommendation. And one last thing I will say, the nicknames they had for each other, adorable, 100% the cutest thing ever. It wasn't anything like Fourth Wing where they're like Violet to Violence. It was genuinely the cutest thing ever. I would rate the spice at around 2 to 3 for those of you who want to factor that into your reading decisions. The swoon level, as in how much I was falling for the romance and being like, oh my gosh, and kicking my feet, would be about a 4 to a 5. I genuinely was like, oh my god, this is the cutest thing ever, especially because of the enemies to lovers. It was more so like quick-witted words, barbs, like that kind of enemy to lovers. But I would definitely say they despised each other in the beginning, so it was nice seeing that turnaround. As for the magic and world building, I'm sure you could tell I would rate this at about a 5, literally 5 out of 5, because of the intricacy as previously stated, the creation of the characters, and then we had things like zombies, talking animals like an owl and a rabbit, and then just the overall world. There was a lot that went into it that made it really interesting to read. The romance felt very real and authentic and warm. Next up, I actually have the physical copy of this book, and it's going to be Sorcery and Small Magic. Now this is also another somewhat enemies to lovers. I struggle to use that term sometimes because one person considers to be enemies, someone else might question, but I will say they definitely are rivals. So we follow 2 rival sorcerers who are unexpectedly forced into a proximity of sorts, and we watch as they try to break the curse that's holding them together. And it was really cozy, and it kind of fell into what I was talking about before that Hart and Mercy did not do. Most cozy books that I read have the tendency to have a slower moving pace, and I will say for about 200 pages or so of this, it suffered from the same thing. And although I loved it through and through, I am not the kind of person who enjoys slower paced books. Interestingly enough, this is also a grumpy and sunshine story, and I will say the sunshine in this story, one of the main male characters, because it is MM, he was so free-spirited. I love reading characters like him, and even though he was very like impulsive and flippant and not really caring, he still had layers to him that explained why he was the way that he was. So I found that really endearing and enjoyable to read, because we weren't just reading about a character doing whatever they wanted because they could. Like, there were motives backing his actions, and I was like, this is interesting. The spice for this book, in my opinion, is unfortunately a 0. There's a lot of pining and yearning between the 2 characters, but you don't even pick up on that until later in the book. You don't get it until later in the book. There's a lot of breadcrumbs that you can, snack on along the way while you're reading the story, but For me, it was not enough to sustain myself. Like I wanted more, and I guess that was potentially the author's goal, so props to them, they achieved it. At the end, I was like, where is book 2? I want to keep reading this, but unfortunately, it is not out yet. This is going to be a trilogy, and we only have the first book, so I would keep that in mind when deciding whether or not you want to read the series already. I would say go for it because it is such a great book. The swoon level was a 3 just because it left me wanting more. A lot of the things within the story that I was swooning about were things that were kind of written between the lines. They weren't explicitly stated, so that's why I would probably rate it about a 3. But I definitely was kicking my feet for a majority of the story. As for the world building and magic, I would rate it at about a 4 just because I was just talking about a book like The Undertaking of Hart and Mercy. The world building in that book is so much more inventive. Okay, the next one I am a little bit embarrassed about, but I guess I shouldn't be. We all like what we like. This is somewhat of a basic book. Maybe I'm being a hater, but it's going to have to be Flawless. Now, this book follows our main male character, who is a bull rider, which I loved, by the way, and then our main female character, who is the daughter of the bull rider's agent. Now, I will say, just to get it out of the way, the one thing I really didn't love about the book was that the main male character, the bull rider, he was childish, and it seemed like the main female character was put into a position of having to mother him sometimes, and I wasn't loving that. We watch as they fall in love and how they struggle to stay away from each other. It was very fulfilling, very enjoyable. I loved the spice. It was done pretty well. Some romance books, you read one and you've read them all, but this one was unique enough to where I was interested enough to want to continue to flip the page. And one last thing, I hinted to it already, but literally, I kid you not, the bull riding gave me life. Not only was it informative, no, it was exciting and it was spicy. I was like, ooh. I would say that the spice rests at about a 3 to 4, depending on what you're used to. As for the swoon-worthiness, I would kind of rate it the same as Sorcery and Small Magic at a 3. It was kind of just okay. I was still kicking my feet, but it wasn't as often as something like The Undertaking of Hart and Mercy. And then I would say the magic, there was none. It's a regular contemporary romance book. And then the world building was regular. Nothing special. It was good. It was fine. No complaints. Next up, I'm going to give you guys my soft recommendations. Now, the first book I'm going to recommend to you guys is Swordheart. Now, this book is a standalone part of an interconnected series, which we love. I love being able to jump from book to book, but this book was not for me. It kind of fell victim to what I was discussing before. Although it was cozy, which was amazing, it felt great to read. It was authentic, real, and relatable. It was also far too slow for me. I kind of felt like it was dragging a little bit during the journey, but it was still a great read. Now, this book follows our main female character, who is widowed and kind of going through it with her family. They're not even really her family. And our main female character, the widow, happens to find this sword. And upon pulling the sword out of its sheath, she releases this cursed man from it who is sworn to protect the holder of the sword. The story, obviously, we watch as they fall in love and kind of save each other, not just because of the outside things that they're dealing with, but kind of save each other internally from the things that they're working on. The spice level is about a 2. It was extremely cozy and warm reading the spice scenes. They were completely relatable and adorable. As for the swoon-worthiness, I would rate it about a 3, so kind of in line with the other ones, average and still kicking my feet, but just nothing spectacular out of this world to where I'm like, oh my god, give me more, I need this, like it's a drug or something. And then as for the world building, I would say this is something that Kingfisher is actually so good at. The world felt so real. I love the religion that's meshed into it. I love the people who are part of the religions, like the priests and whatnot. So I'd probably rate the magic and world building at about a 4. It's probably one of my favorite aspects about the book, despite not really enjoying the slow moving aspect of it. So the next book I'm going to recommend to you guys is going to be Our Infinite Fates. And I actually have the physical copy here. It is gorgeous, very beautiful. The gold on the side, gorgeous. And then with the dust jacket off, she looks like this. What's really cool is that this correlates to something added within the story. I thought that was really amazing because books don't do that often, to where the actual book itself is kind of referenced within the book. That was really cool to me. Maybe that's all love is in the end, an endless tempting of fate. Very cutesy. Okay, now for the most important part though. Evelyn can remember all of her past lives. She can also remember that in every single one, she's been murdered before her 18th birthday by Arden, a supernatural being linked to her soul. The problem is that she's quite fond of the life she's in now, and her little sister needs her in order to stay alive. If Evelyn wants to save her sister, she'll have to find the centuries-old devil who hunts her through each life before they find her first, figure out why she's being hunted, and finally break their curse, and try not to fall in love again. This book was kind of not really my favorite. That's why I'm putting it as a soft recommendation. I could see people really loving it, especially the historical aspects. That's something I personally loved within it. I did have some unfortunate problems with the book when reading it. The reason why I did not love this book, why it's not a hard recommendation, is because I wished that the love that we saw in the past was developed a little bit more so we could see why they were falling so hard. It felt like whenever we would read a historical past romance for them, it would kind of be a repeat of another one that we had previously read. Some of them were unique, some of them I wanted to read more about, but they just weren't developed enough for me to feel any kind of sort of connection. Almost every single story we're ending up with like how they kill each other. Like I get it. I want to see them in love. I want to feel the romance. Even the last flashback that they have, I found myself wanting more of it. Like I needed more from the romance. Last and technically least was my one DNF for the month. It's gonna be Evocation, and look at how cool that is. Like I was so sad because what a cool design. You can tell by how this book looks. I like read the first 30 plus pages and I can tell it wasn't for me, and I was so sad about it because it has such a good summary. It seems like it would be the kind of book for me, but the writing was so not my style at all, and I just couldn't get through it. I even tried to do the audiobook once I realized the writing wasn't for me, and if anything, it just kind of confirmed my beliefs that I could not get through this in one piece and end up okay at the end. I'm dramatic. Okay, so I'm gonna read y'all the summary because obviously I did not finish it and I don't want to be leading anybody astray. As a teen, I don't even want to read the summary because I'm getting flashbacks. I'm like, whoa, put this away. Like my body's gonna break out in hives from touching this. I'm such a hater. I'm sorry. It's not that bad. It's just the writing wasn't for me. As a teen, David was a psychic prodigy, operating under the shadow of his oppressive occultist father. Now, years after his father's death and rapidly approaching his 30th birthday, he is content with the high-powered life he's curated as a Boston attorney, moonlighting as a powerful medium for his secret society. But with power comes a price, and the devil has come to collect on an ancestral debt. David's days are numbered, and death looms at his door. Reluctantly, he reaches out to the one person he's ever trusted. His ex-boyfriend and secret society rival Rice for help. However, the only way to get to Rice is through his wife, Moira. Thrust into each other's care, emotions once buried deep resurface, and the trio race to figure out their feelings for one another before the devil steals David away for good. It sounds so good. I feel so set up. And I honestly am going to donate it. It's a beautiful book, and I bet the story is better than I think it is. But not for me. So sad. But yeah, that's it. Bye, y'all. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. I'm so sorry if you loved Evocation and I just did it so dirty. I'm so sorry.